Here's a hot one. The Ford Bronco is a purpose-built off-road capable monster machine. And when I say capable, I mean very. Let's check this thing out. The Ford Bronco nameplate status dates as far back as 1966. And with 30 years in production, it has established quite a huge fan following thanks to its compact off-roading capability. It was the ultimate boy toy, and for me, it was a movie speed when Keanu forgets his coffee cup on top of his Bronco as he drives off to chase the bad guys. Unfortunately, the Bronco was discontinued in 1996 in favor of the more versatile Ford Expedition and Explorer. Fast forward to today, the 6th generation Ford Bronco brings back that lost boy toy feeling with newer and improved modern design and technology for off-road enthusiasts. It's set out to compete against the almighty Jeep Wrangler amongst other serious off-roading machines. We'll dive deeper into the details, but for now, let's go over some of the specs, trims, and pricing. There are two models available, the Bronco and Bronco Sport. The Bronco Sport is a unibody chassis design, so it's going to feel much more similar to a conventional crossover SUV. It's meant to be a bit more comfortable for everyday city driving. On the other hand, the Ford Bronco that we have here uses a body-on-frame design that's able to handle much greater loads and can take much more beating in an off-road environment compared to a unibody chassis used on the Bronco Sport. Let's start off with the exterior. In the front, you've got Ford's modular front bumper. It's got a lot of standard through-hole threads and adapters that allows you to bolt on different components that can be purchased as optional upgrades. In our tester model, we have the Safari bar, which is a cold rolled steel bar to help protect the front bumper while you're gooting around in the trails. But you can also attach a lot of other different components, such as a pod lights or a power winch that can be powered via the auxiliary power unit in the cabin, which we'll talk about later. On the front hood, you've got two tie-down hooks, which makes it a bit more convenient because you don't have to loop your ropes or cables around the front bumper tow hooks. They're also symmetrical as well, so it helps keep everything nice and centered. An example would be tying down a canoe on the roof. And also in the bottom of the front, you've also got one tow hook, which is a huge chunk of metal. Now you can't see this, but underneath the Bronco, you've also got reinforced heavy metal bash plates to help protect the car's engine, fuel tank, transfer case, and power steering unit. The Ford Bronco is offering either a 2-door or 4-door variant. The model that we have here is a 2-door model, and the wheelbase is about 16 inches shorter than the 4-door model, which is a pretty big difference. It doesn't just affect the looks because a shorter wheelbase means better maneuverability. So if you're really serious about off-roading, then you may consider the 2-door version as opposed to the more practical and larger cargo space of the 4-door variant. Both standard models stand at 73.8 inches tall. However, with the WildTrak trim with bigger wheels and higher ground clearance, it stands at 77.8 inches tall, which is about 4 inches more, and it looks pretty intimidating in person. The WildTrak trim is where things start to get serious. It's got a much higher ground clearance of 11.5 inches as opposed to the stock 8.3. So that's an extra 3.2 inches of ground clearance, which is pretty significant. That's also going to give you a much better approach, breakover, and departure angle for overcoming off-road obstacles. The WildTrak trim includes a Sasquatch package that comes with 17-inch rims and massive 35-inch BSW mud terrain tires. You can also purchase bead-lock tires, which allows you to run your tires at a much lower pressure between 6 to 12 psi. This will give you better off-road traction by preventing your tires from slipping off the rims since the tires are bolted onto the rims directly. Moving on to the suspensions, Ford loves to use acronyms, and one of them is HOSS, which stands for High Performance Off-Road Stability Suspensions. Standard on the Ford Bronco gets a 2.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing 300 horsepower, while the more powerful 2.7-liter V6 increases the power output to 330. Both engines get a 10-speed automatic transmission. In city driving, the Ford Bronco is what you might expect with less refined acceleration, but then again, the Ford Bronco was never really meant for this. The Ford Bronco truly comes alive when it sees dirt, giving you an impression that it can just conquer anything beneath its wheels. It's also got a very tight turning radius, and the upgraded suspensions on the WildTrak trim eats any bumps or rough terrains easily. As you might expect, the Ford Bronco doesn't get great fuel economy with a rating of just 21 miles per gallon for the 4-cylinder engine. Opting for the V6 with a Sasquatch package penalizes you even further with just 17 miles per gallon. Not great in today's terms. Still, both models are capable of towing up to 3,500 pounds, which is on par with the Jeep Wrangler. The Ford Bronco is greeted with a robust interior fitted with vinyl seats that are very easy to clean, heavy-duty grab handles, and one of our favorite features, a removable rooftop. The instrument cluster is fitted with a comprehensive set of menus including engine and transmission temperature, yaw, pitch and roll, and tire pressure monitoring system, which is especially useful if you have bead-lock tires running at low pressures. The instrument cluster also graphically shows you the 4x4 powertrain status to confirm that whether you are in 2x4 or 4x4. Again, Ford loves to use acronyms, and one of them is the GOAT Drive Mode Selector. It stands for Go Over Anything Terrain. Pressing the middle button allows you to switch between different terrain modes for improved performance, as well as ability to switch between two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive mode. Again, you're greeted with some pretty cool graphics when switching between different terrain modes on the instrument cluster. The center console is fitted with a large infotainment touchscreen that is also very easy to use. However, I do have to say that the user experience and overall electronic performance are a bit laggy, especially when switching between different menus. It's definitely not on par with the Uconnect system on the Jeep Wrangler, but it's still overall very functional and gets the job done. The Ford Bronco WildTrak trim comes with the infamous Dana 44 differential system that allows you to lock either the front or rear differential via the rubber switches mounted on the top center console. Another cool feature is the integrated auxiliary power unit switches that are pre-wired to the front hood with your auxiliary 12-volt system that can be individually turned on and off. On our two-door tester model, we found that the rear trunk space to be adequate for adventures with easy access via the slide-out gas pressurized pull-out door as well as a slide-up window. The rooftop removable covers are also very easy to use, and this really gives the user a very unique convertible-like experience in an off-road vehicle. Fitted around the vehicle are independent white LED lights that can be activated from the infotainment system. This is also a pretty cool feature as it allows you to light up the area around the vehicle in the dark. However, they are not as bright as I expected, and they can only be turned on when the engine is off to prevent you from activating them while you're driving. What would have been cool is if they had fitted the Bronco with high luminescent lights that could be powered by the engine's alternator instead. Well, that's my take on the 2022 Ford Bronco WildTrak trim that comes priced in at $51,375. Not cheap, but definitely cool and a purpose-built off-road vehicle that brings back that lost love and feeling we once had 30 years ago. I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, keep driving, and until next time.